Sorry about that. Let me get that remounted. Dang it. Sorry about that. I was having issues with the cord going into my one of my mini power stations. I'm trying that one out. What I got for you, I'm bringing up the chat on my tablet. I apologize for the shakiness. Remember back when I offered up a couple options for my July 4th special holiday stream? This is the other menu that I had considered, because barbecue beef, a lot of people like to barbecue on holidays, especially here in the US and I think even Canada. So since Labor Day is often seen in the US as kind of the last unofficial day of summer, a lot of people like to barbecue, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and bring this one back out, and I'm going to have a little fun with it. This is a Canadian hamburger bun, but I have yet to see a shelf-stable bun in an American ration, so I thought I would do that. And I'm going to make a ration version of an Arnold Palmer. So that's what I got going on in the drinking jar. This is from the 2022 case that I actually bought off of Amazon when they had them on sale for like $40-something. I've seen similar cases around $70 to $75. But sometimes if you find the right seller who has a bunch of these that they want to unload, you might still be able to get some of these 2022s. This is case A, the menu 2, so it's in that lot. This one was packed by Sopaco, and they have followed the lead of Ameriqual in using these inner bags. Tim Riley is here. Prepper for the Ages. Boogerbutt and Boogerbutt are here. So last year they started using this style of packaging only for the MREs and not the outer bag. Which makes it a little bit difficult when you want to, say, dispose of trash. So here is the entree, the shredded beef and the barbecue sauce. There's a plain tortillas. Banana and pumpkin fruit puree, so that's a different one. I'm not familiar with this one. I have not had this flavor, so that'll be interesting to try. Got the usual spoon. Sparse accessory pack, but I actually anticipated that. A big accessory pack for so few items. Chocolate hazelnut protein powder. Nope, not doing that tonight. And this fat thing is a cinnamon bun. And here's a packet of cheese spread. This is a sleeve that has all the information on the shredded beef. Nutritional information for the fruit pumpkin puree is on the pouch itself. Of course, got the FRH. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for my drink. This is one of those instant iced tea mixes from one of the La Brute kosher certified rations. And then this is a lemon flavored isotonic drink powder. This has Arabic in it, on it. For those who are not familiar, an Arnold Palmer is a blend of iced tea and lemonade. Carlos Perry's here, cold war preppers, spicy tuna rolls. Thanks for dropping in. That lemon drink powder is a bit chunked up, so I'm going to bust some of those up with my spork. You can buy the Arnold Palmer tea lemonade blend already mixed in stores. But I thought it would be fun to do a ration version. I had lemon lime drink powders, but I wanted it to be strictly lemon. The only other option I would have had would be the lemon from a Norwegian Arctic field ration, and those are even more notorious for being clumpy. I got a G7, just the regular G7 instant 3-in-1 coffee. I'm using the MRE bag as my trash bag. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the water. So this can start heating up, and then I will bring back the kettle for my coffee, and then we'll get into everything else. I am back. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen just to get it out of the way. I'm going to put the cheese spread on top of there. These are designed to be sucked right out of the pouch. Especially if you're on the go. There's going to be a lot of orange because the pumpkin color is going to dominate. It looks like baby food. If the company that makes this wanted to, they could probably sell it as baby food and make a killing. So that's what that looks like. So it's very bright. My lighting probably doesn't show the true color of it, even though I have what you would call a cool white. I guess it could be closer to a neutral white, but it's just the way that the lighting and the way my phone picks up the light. So I am going to go ahead and open up these tortillas. I thought about skipping them, but then again, the cheese has to have somewhere to go. Put the oxygen absorber in there. Cinnamon bun is pretty fat. Get that oxygen absorber off of there. Do put the oxygen absorber in with these hamburger buns. This one has been in storage for a bit of time, so it's gotten squished. But that's okay because that's where that's going to be. This protein powder is going to be safe for another day. Setting the cheese on top of my mug softened it enough so I can knead it, which is what I'm doing now. While the cheese is still pretty soft, I can kind of work it around inside the tortilla. I'm going to give this another stir. I can still add a little bit more water to my drinking jar. It seems like all of the powder has pretty much dissolved. So now what I'm going to do is go back into the kitchen. I'm going to get the shredded beef and I'll pour it over the bun. I am back. I use this thing to carry my entree in from the kitchen and a paper towel to dry it off. Do that just to make sure that the food is down below before I pull on the... Well, that didn't work so well. Try from the other side, see if that'll do any better. Sometimes these things do not always rip the best. And that still didn't open in the middle. There we go. I'm going to call that good enough. Open face barbecue beef sandwich is what I decided to do. A little bit of the barbecue sauce landed on one of the tortillas, but that's okay. Kind of like that. I just licked that up. That tastes kind of like a sweet baby Ray, or another one of those sweet barbecue sauces. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a good amount of sauce, and that should soak into the bun. I'm going to go and take a sip of my ration version of an Arnold Palmer. That's pretty balanced. Just in case it was not sweet enough, I did bring a little bit of sugar from my kitchen, but I'm not going to need that, so I'm not going to bother with that. Nope, Tim, save the vodka for making tinctures. That would probably be your best use of it. if you're into that sort of thing. Just checking out the chat. When I was attending the University of Central Arkansas, I got to travel to Oklahoma State University, which is in Stillwater. This was in, I think, fall of '85. I did this. It was for like a resident association, like for resident assistants or other dorm related groups. So I got to go, and at that time the legal drinking age for beer and wine was 18. You had to be 21 for the hard stuff. But several years after I had left there, I think it was in the 90s, then the state had to raise the minimum age for all alcohol to 21 in order to unlock some DOT funds for road work. I don't remember when that particular law passed, that a state had to have 21 as a minimum age for alcohol consumption. Otherwise, the federal government would not release certain amounts or certain kinds of roadwork funding. Well, DeCarlos, I was there. We stayed in some of the empty rooms in one of the dorms because classes were not in session at the time, but they had the cafeteria open for us. And it was schools from all over the Southeast that had these on-campus residence groups there. So I traveled with a couple other people. So that was actually the last time I had been to Oklahoma. The only other time I had been there was, I think back in '78, my family went to Oklahoma City, actually a suburb called Edmond, where we spent the the Christmas break from school, a part of it down there in Oklahoma City, and we stayed at the house of our friends there in Edmond, and we took one of those 30-foot RVs down there. There's my crusher in the house. Thanks for dropping in. You're looking at my slightly jazzed up version of this shredded beef menu. A couple of tweaks. I got a Canadian hamburger bun underneath the barbecue beef. And instead of using the only drink included in the menu, I made a ration version of an Arnold Palmer. I took the last instant tea mix that I have from one of the Le Briute kosher rations that I reviewed. They always supplied 2 with those, even though it's a single meal ration. Then I had a lemon drink from another ration. And I decided to use that and combine them. And I think that one had enough sugar in it because there's a lot of powder. Whereas the instant tea is sugar-free, so it didn't have a whole lot of powder to it, but I brought some sugar from my kitchen just in case it wasn't sweet enough, but I don't need that. So I put the cheese spread in the tortillas, and then I have a G7 coffee in my delicious mug. This is just the regular 3-in-1 instant coffee, whereas last week I had that vanilla latte. I really enjoyed that. I think I'm going to get some of that in the future. Yeah, Oklahoma can have some serious tornadoes, and I watch YouTubers who have shown damage on their properties from the tornadoes. I still have friends who live down there. Fortunately, they never lost their homes, but they had trees down, power lines down, debris in the yard, that sort of thing. But there's still quite a bit of time left in tornado season. Of course, hurricane season is still going, so one of those can knock you for a loop. Especially in an area that usually doesn't get it, like what Helene did in North Carolina. Well, this is all I use. I don't have any other kind of a camera setup, especially for live streaming. I don't have a dedicated room where I can have a studio where I can just, leave it set up all the time. Some people who have bigger houses or even bigger apartments can have a dedicated space that all they do is do their indoor video shooting from, unless they're doing something in the kitchen. A lot of YouTubers only use their phones because, especially with the improvement in technology, the higher memory capacity that is now available, all the editing apps that are available, that's all they do is use their phone. It's got all the features, why not? If you want to do a 2-camera setup, that takes a little bit more, and I'm really not interested in trying to figure that out. Now, some do that because they have the means to pull that off. They got either the money to do that, or they get sponsorships for the appropriate items to use for that, or they just have the space where they can do setups like that. Well, personally, I just like straight up single camera video, completely raw. Only editing I will ever do is splicing segments together. Well, tomato soup doesn't have to be just a soup. You could use it in a recipe if you want to put some tomato flavor in something. You can make it into a sauce with some other ingredients. Yep. And the best vodka for the vanilla extract is one that doesn't have any additional flavors. It's got to be the cleanest, the unflavored one. But because I do not keep any alcohol in here for religious reasons, I only know from what I have seen others do. I took herbalism classes locally for a couple of years, and vodka is the preferred choice. Some may use rum, some may use tequila, some may use brandy. It depends on what you're putting in it. Certain liquors will extract differently from different kinds of plant material that you put in it. I made a tincture for my mom, but I used apple cider vinegar. That extracts, but it's not as concentrated as what you would find with alcohol. And I did not have any vegetable glycerin. Which would have been what my choice would be had I had it, but I had the apple cider vinegar, plus I wanted to experiment with it. So when my mom used it, she actually had to, instead of go by the drop, like by the teaspoon. Mother's Garden Club is here. Thanks for dropping in. You're looking at my take on this shredded beef. I had a Canadian hamburger bun, so I put that underneath the beef, like an open face barbecue beef sandwich is what I got going on here. And instead of the chocolate hazelnut protein shake, which is the only drink that came in here, I have a Ration version of an Arnold Palmer. I have an instant iced tea from La Brioute Ration and a lemon drink from another Ration that had Arabic writing on it. I'm not exactly sure where that one came from. I would have to look at the packet again. Then I have G7 3-in-1 instant coffee in the mug. This is, so I have to pull that pouch out again. See the flavor of that. It's a banana pumpkin puree. Yeah, those are the only, the rest is just preservatives and other ingredients. So it's banana and pumpkin. This is a cinnamon bun here. This shredded beef MRE menu is very popular. A lot of people like it. It's a sweet barbecue, kind of like Sweet Baby Ray's. The beef is finely pulled, shredded, but it's not processed any further than that. It's what you would find in a barbecue joint. When you ask for a pulled beef sandwich, that's what you would get. But this is one of the menus that I offered up as an option for my July 4th holiday special stream, but people chose the jalapeno beef patty instead, so that's what I did. And being that Labor Day is very popular grilling and barbecue day, I decided to go ahead and bring this one out and maybe jazz it up a little bit. I almost thought about skipping the tortillas, but then I thought, where did the cheese spread go? That's where the cheese spread is. Oh, my mom knows all about the AFib. She has that, and the particular medicine she takes for it. She has to be extremely careful about what kind of food she eats. She takes a drug called warfarin. And about every couple of months, or sometimes every month, she has to go take a blood test to check to make sure that a certain level, she calls it INR, and what affects that is vitamin K. So she has to seriously restrict how much of that nutrient she takes in, so she eats very little food that has that, and if she does, it's very infrequently. And if the blood test shows that that level is not in the range that the doctor wants, then the dosage of the medicine can be changed. So she may have bottles with different dosages, and she saves all those because she may have to switch back and forth. So that can be a tricky thing to manage. Yeah. Dang, Carlos, I wonder if maybe she had an adverse reaction to it. Yeah, my mom she's trying to be extremely careful with it. She likes how that drug is working for her, but it can be so tricky to manage. Yeah, and some insurances may not cover that particular one, whereas warfarin is covered. And my mom just reached a point with her Medicare drug coverage that she no longer has to pay the copay. Just go into the pharmacy and pick it up. But one of my sisters goes and picks up her meds for her because my mom doesn't drive and she doesn't walk very well, so they don't like delivering there because if a person is not there to answer the door, they won't leave it. In fact, there has been a problem with package theft if a delivery driver leaves something in the entry for the resident who may not be there to respond. People who have had grocery deliveries or package deliveries have had things stolen, so residents are having to be there, otherwise it will not get delivered. And this is a 55 plus property, so you think people would know better, but some don't. You can find people at any age who think they're so entitled that they can take something from someone else. Chilsick is here. Thanks for dropping in. I slightly tweaked this shredded beef MRE. I got a Canadian hamburger bun. Underneath the meat, like an open-faced barbecue beef sandwich. It's a sweet barbecue flavor. And I made a ration version of an Arnold Palmer. That's what's in the drinking jar. A sugar-free instant tea plus a lemon-flavored isotonic drink from different rations. I combine them together. Cheese spread on the tortillas. That's where that went. This is that banana pumpkin puree. I looked at the ingredients. There is no apple. The color is from the pumpkin. Yeah, my mom, as I said earlier, my mom takes warfarin. I don't know if Eliquis is just too new or it's not covered by her insurance. The warfarin is, so that's what she uses. She has to severely restrict how much vitamin K she consumes. Which can be a pain in the dupa. So she gets her blood tested quite frequently as a result. That's okay. You need to take all the time you need to deal with this. There's a lot of stuff you probably still have to figure out. But the few that you have tossed up of people sending you things, that just shows people that you're still you're still wanting to put something up, show that people are still sending you things, being generous to you, which you deserve after what you've been through. I'm going to go ahead and take a taste of this stuff that looks like baby food. The banana is definitely there. The pumpkin comes in on the back end. It's just enough to cut through the sweetness of the banana, but it doesn't overpower the banana flavor, so. That's a nice thing. So, yeah, that's a keeper. The cinnamon bun is very thick, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of filling in there. Now these are very good warmed up. That one is very doughy though. I don't know if it just didn't get baked enough. Yeah, that is my insurance as well. But I have a AARP co-sponsored version. It's got some decent side benefits like the quarterly spending allowance. That is one thing that my mom's insurance does not have. But it pays for more things than some other plans have, but she has had it for quite a number of years, and the company that hosts that particular one did not force her to quit it and go with something else. They call it being grandfathered in. So that's how she's able to keep the particular one that she has. She used to not get hearing aid coverage whatsoever. Now she does get some benefit with that. She gets full coverage for glasses, whereas I don't. I have to pay for the lenses out of pocket. I only get coverage for the frames, which is kind of stupid. But it is what it is. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Hope to see you next month. Yeah. Yeah, and a couple of activities that you can get reward for are coming up soon that may not be available at other times of the year. In fact, flu shot advertisements are already ticking in where people can go ahead and get flu shots. And then there's something called the annual wellness check or wellness visit, wellness appointment, you can get a reward for that once a year. You can get a reward for the flu shot. Like, I can get a reward for, like, recording the activity days. So, a minimum of 10 activity days, but you have to log those in before the end of the month. Otherwise, you can't go back and add it. But along with that base reward, or that base spending allowance that you get every 3 months, if you let those other rewards build up enough, you can get quite a good haul of the qualifying items. So when I do these hauls about what I get with my reward and spending allowance, I encourage people to check with their health insurance to see if they have that benefit available. Some do, some don't. But it's still worth checking to see if you have access to something like that. There's a bottom side of the hamburger bun. The shingles shot can be rough on some people, but being that my mom is 81, she's been getting it the past, see, she got it last year, and the arm she got it in, that was hurting her for quite a few days. Yeah, you don't want to get shingles. I had a home care client who had that, and she had it on her back. So I was putting an ointment on those spots on her back because she could not do that herself. But it took a long time for that to clear up, even with the ointment. I was not going in there every day to do it. So she may not have been able to get it put on all of those spots where she needed it if she didn't have someone coming in at least once a day. But yeah, she had some pretty bad spots of it on her back. There's Waffles in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, Cold War Prepper does a weekly stream on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. And then the last Thursday of the month, he does another stream. Then he puts up other videos. Oh, no doubt that would be horrible. That would be extremely painful. And if you don't deal with it properly and soon enough, I'm pretty sure that could affect the vision in that eye. I would not want that. Larry Bird. He played professional basketball for the Boston Celtics. So if you're not familiar with NBA teams from, say, like 15, 20 years ago, you may not know about them. Yeah, I enjoyed watching him play. I was not as much into the NBA as I was college basketball, but I did enjoy watching Larry Bird play. But when Scottie Pippen was playing for the Chicago Bulls, then I did watch those games. Scottie Pippen went to the University of Central Arkansas at the same time that I was there, but because I chose to spend my weeknights studying, I never went to any home basketball games. I have no idea what he's doing now, because I just don't keep up with that sort of thing these days. Yeah, my tray likes to slide. It's slick, this little table's slick, but that's okay. Yep, rain was predicted for today. Didn't get any earlier this afternoon. Of course, what did I do earlier this afternoon? I went out onto the deck and watered my plants. But because I knew rain was in the forecast, I put some containers down there just to try to catch any water that might accumulate, not fall onto the pots. For about a month or so, I was using accumulated rainwater that I had captured for watering my plants. But I had to go back to tap water once that rainwater had been used up and we weren't getting enough rain to even water my pots very well. But we haven't had any significant rain in quite some time, so it's good to get this. 3 of my plants are on plant stands that have little casters on them, and then there's a catch tray that water will drain into. So I've emptied those, and then most of my other pots are on their own catch trays, and then on a few others they're either on a shelf over some other pots that water that comes down through the pots above it can go down into the ones below. And then on some others, I have some other trays out or shallow containers underneath them that can also capture water. And then I have a bowl out there and the 2 pitchers that I used to water with. I've moved those into a position that could also catch water. And so I'll see in the morning what is there. Those heat waves out there are getting to be a bit normalized out there, Fishy? Yeah, I'll call you Fishy. Yeah, the date square, the one I did have, it was a lot drier than I expected. I thought it would be a lot moister than that. I didn't mind the flavor, but it just seemed a bit too dry for my liking. But I still ate it. Yeah, that's one thing I did not get the chance to do, is I've only had one of those date squares. So the next time I get one, I will actually heat it. Just like these cinnamon buns are really good when they're warmed. Oh, that smoked meat and mustard sauce would sound like it would be one really enjoyable menu. Well, that would be interesting to see how that particular ration type has changed over the years. I never really looked much on Reddit for rations. I guess I'll have to. I've looked there for other things. Olight has exclusive giveaways on their Reddit threads. So I've entered a couple of those, but I'll have to start looking at rations there. That's okay. If I don't watch stuff for a certain amount of time, I just don't bother trying to catch up anymore. Because I try to catch up, then I would miss other people's new stuff, and there's just not enough time in the day to be doing that. Yeah, when I was at the lake for that week, I couldn't get signal to watch any videos. I tried uploading some reels. I tried uploading short to upload one. I managed to get one Facebook reel uploaded, but it took probably like 5 or 6 hours. And for a picture, it took at least 2 hours just to upload one picture. And my hotspot really wasn't helping any. Well, dang. I might have to check that one out. I did finally find a Polish ration with the goulash. So I went ahead and ordered that. Of course, now with certain policies being changed, any item of any price ordered from another country is going to have a tariff slapped on it. So that means when it arrives here in the US, I will have to pay the shipping company before the package will be released to me. And that's before I even know if it gets raided or not by certain snack thieves or food thieves. That's how I refer to those nutheads. I'll just call them thieves, because that's what they are. No, it's just that I just kept wanting to go after that barbecue beef. This banana pumpkin puree might actually have bits of banana. It had a couple of lumps in it. But the flavor is pretty well balanced. But yeah, this could so easily be fed to a baby. Yeah, that really bites. Fortunately, some other items that I ordered on eBay are US based, so I don't have to deal with that nonsense. But I ordered a couple of additional craft supplies for the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow, because all of that stuff is donated, or at least a lot of it is. Different people donate either the money to buy the stuff or just donate the stuff. And then at one of our meetings, we were talking about the ropes that mark off certain areas that may not be visible at night. So, for instance, I'll be camping there, and so will several others. And I have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I got to walk across the area, and I use the red light on my headlamp, and sometimes, depending on the color of the cord that they use, it may not be visible. So I had mentioned putting either glow tape or reflective tape on there to mark them out so that they're visible at night, especially if there's no moonlight and you're using the red light on your headlamp to avoid disturbing other people. So that is actually going to get done. The guy who is responsible for the grounds, who arranges all that stuff, he is going to get a kind of tape that will be visible at night to put on those ropes in order to make them visible, especially at night. Yeah, on the listing that I got from the Polish seller, it said eBay does not take the tariff payment. You don't pay that to the seller. You pay that either directly to customs or the shipping company. And in the case of this Polish Ration, FedEx, and because I directed the FedEx package to go to a FedEx office while it is still in Poland, because apparently FedEx actually does service right there in Poland. So when it goes there, I could either pay it online or I pay when I go to pick it up. I just have no idea how that works because I have never dealt with a tariff before. A little bit of barbecue sauce at picking up with a quarter of my tortilla. With some of these just now kicking in, especially with the sub $800 limit per package or per order being lifted, where before, say, I ordered something that would have been shipped from, if I had seen this ration last month and ordered it, I would not have seen that tariff notice. But it is now there. So this will be my first time directly dealing with a tariff on something that I order as an individual. Now, grocery stores like Hy-Vee, Fairway, Walmart, Hillel Groceries, when they import stuff, they usually buy in much larger quantities, so they have to raise their prices accordingly. Or if the supplier imports it into this country for holding in their US-based warehouses for distribution to their customers, they may pass that on to the stores. But I have seen prices of things increased. But when I go back into Hillel next month to do my personal shopping, or even if I'm going in there to talk to one of the employees about what is needed for the mosque, which I do usually every week, I do tend to look at prices on certain things just to satisfy my curiosity. There's Annalie here. Thanks for dropping in. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope things are going good on your side of the pond. Oh, wow. A cold climate ORP. That has got to be something very interesting to check out. Don't see those too often. I've never seen it. I've never had a French cold climate ration. I've only had the Norwegian and the American version. I've never had any cold climate or Arctic rations from other countries besides those. But they have definitely got to be interesting to check out. Thanks for dropping in, and tell LJ hi for us. Hopefully he's having a good start to school and whatever other activities he's into. Oh wow, that should definitely be, that should set you up for winter. If you get that many cases. By the way, in the drinking jar is a ration version of an Arnold Palmer. I took an instant iced tea, the one I had left from a Labrie certified kosher / halal ration. They put 2 of those in every one. Then that lemon drink that had the name of it in Arabic on it, as well as English and I think French. I'd have to pull that one back out. That is a lemon flavor. I chose that and I mixed the 2 together. I had sugar on standby in case it wasn't sweet enough, but this is perfectly fine. And Arnold Palmer, he was a very famous golfer. He played for many years, competed on the senior PGA Tour. But a half and half mix of iced tea and lemonade. He made that drink popular. Now you can go into stores and buy it already made up. So I figured, being that Labor Day here in the US is a big barbecue cookout day, I thought, why not see if I can do a ration version of an Arnold Palmer to go with this meal. Plus, the only drink in here in this MRE was that chocolate hazelnut protein shake that I decided to pass on. No coffee in it, so I got a G7 3-in-1, the regular flavor, not like the vanilla latte I had last week. Yeah, there you go. Score an opportune find. That's the best way to go about it. Well, I got the cheese spread inside the tortillas. Very fat, very doughy cinnamon bun. It's more bun than cinnamon filling. This is one of their newer purees. It's banana and pumpkin. It's not an applesauce based. So the color comes from the pumpkin. But the flavors are pretty well balanced. There's just enough of the pumpkin flavor to cut the sweetness of the banana, but not kill the banana flavor altogether. That's okay, Mother. Thanks for dropping in. Hope to see you next month. Now, the first 2 Sundays of September, I will definitely be live. But the third Sunday, being the weekend of the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow, I generally do not stream because I never know when I'm going to be getting back into Des Moines. And because we have the event going until around 6 o'clock or 6:30, then we begin packing things up, putting things away, getting some things ready to be taken away before the teepees and the canopies are taken down. Those are usually the last to get taken down. But other things that can be more easily packed up, those are done. We clean up as much of the ground as we can. And people doing setup are usually picking up trash that they see on the ground as they're setting up the teepees in the canopy and laying out spaces for the vendors. But we like to leave that large group campground better than we found it. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. Yeah. Go get some sleep. Emily, you got a few hours left before you gotta get up and get your Monday on. Now, tomorrow here is Labor Day holiday. That's why I wanted to bring out this barbecue or grilling themed menu. I had a Canadian hamburger bun that I put down underneath the barbecue beef to make what you would call an open face barbecue or pulled beef sandwich. So that's how I kind of jazzed that up a little bit. And I liked how that turned out. So this pumpkin banana puree, I wouldn't be surprised if this shows up in First Strike rations or the more packs modular operational ration enhancement. I wouldn't be surprised if this shows up in those. I have 2 more packs. I have a First Strike ration, which I have not opened up yet. I may actually get into that First Strike ration, go ahead and get that one out of the way, because I like to do 2 streams with one of those. Or I have that MRE Star 24-hour ration. There have been a couple of those done within the past month. I watched one of those. It has different entrees than what mine has. But I'm thinking of maybe going ahead and do the First Strike ration. I've had it longer anyway. So that might be next Sunday and the Sunday after. And then the last Sunday of the month, I'll go back to one of my single meal rations. I got a couple of halal ones. I have more of the 2024 KSPs that I got from Waffles. I got more of these 2022s. Plus, I have the ratatouille that Dave sent me. Finally got that. Plus, he sent me another one. But the ratatouille is definitely a menu that I have been wanting to try for a long time, and now I finally have one. I don't know why. It just, I have never had that dish at all. I have no idea what's in there. It's just something that fascinated me, so now I have it. It's definitely an older menu, but it's just one of those that was on my bucket list, so to speak. Now, I know that one will have coffee in it. Whereas this nonsense, yeah, you could double these items in here and still not fill this bag. I don't know whose idea it was to cut the coffee from MREs, but I'm certain that the soldier in the field would not be happy about that. Yeah, coffee is an energy source, it's a morale booster. And if it's a chilly morning and you're outside eating your ration, you might want to have something warm to drink. I wouldn't be surprised if my cousin who is in the Air Force, if he gets issued MREs, I wouldn't be surprised if he tosses coffee packets in his pocket. But being that he's in the Air Force, I don't know if he would do a lot of field stuff depending on what job he's doing. Unless he is a field mechanic to work on vehicles or planes or choppers away from the base. Now he would be my second cousin. My cousin who was in the Air Force in the 90s and early 2000s, when she was in, she spent all of her time at Eglin Air Base, and that's where she worked on the jets. She was never deployed anywhere away from that base. So they came to her and her teammates to get the planes fixed. She never went to them. I never did find out what she got into after she got out of the Air Force. But my second cousin who is in now, he could be doing something similar. He could be stationed at a different base. I have no idea. I just know he's in the Air Force and he's doing what he wants to do. But even they could get issued some kind of a ration if they're doing some kind of a field exercise. But like I said, if he gets MREs, I wouldn't be surprised if he has coffee packets in his pocket. I know I would do that if I was that soldier in the field who would be given and MRE and have to eat it outside. I would be finding some way to mix up that coffee. And speaking of coffee, just for the heck of it, I'm going to dunk my cinnamon bun in my coffee. That wakes up the cinnamon flavor. In some of the coffee shops I used to go to a lot more than I do, they would always have a cinnamon shaker on the table along with the sugar, artificial sweeteners, and creamer, because some people like to put cinnamon in their coffee. And I did that a few times myself because I wanted to try it. I like it, I just don't do that a lot. But I have had imported coffees that have cinnamon already mixed in. But yeah, dipping this in your coffee will wake up that cinnamon flavor. Plus it cuts through the doughiness of the bun. Don't think it would work with the iced tea lemon mix, so I'm not going to do that. I like that just the way it is. But you can get the little lemonade flavored drink mixes in some rations. They're in the little sticks. They're the sugar-free kind. It'll say lemonade on it. But if you have some instant tea or you have some cold tea that you want to mix that in with, there you go. You can recreate an Arnold Palmer. I just happen to have that instant tea packet. So I decided to go ahead and do that. Now, if this puree had some different flavors, I would probably dip the cinnamon bun in it. I don't know, maybe I'll go ahead and dip this in there. There's a little bit of the cinnamon filling in here. That completely obliterated what little flavor was left in that bite. I'll have to try that again with maybe this right here. It's got more of the filling in it. That still cut through the flavor of that filling. It's not quite up there with dipping it in the coffee. But on its own, I'm still happy with this. I think this is one of the better combinations that they've come up with. I like that they're trying some new stuff, that they're trying to be creative, but they could definitely step it up a notch in other ways. I actually watched Germ's MRE earlier today. He put up a video. They had one of these. There's so much powder in here that there's almost not enough room to really shake this properly to get a good mix. So I would probably I would empty this into a larger capacity bottle. Say like this. This holds 500 mils or 16.9 ounces. This is the double wall bottle, by the way. I'd pour this into there and then put the water in and then shake the living crap out of it. Or maybe even something bigger like my 750 ml bottle. That pink one that I use occasionally. I took that to the lake with me because I wanted that higher capacity, plus it has a handle. Yeah, only including this as a single drink option, I would definitely think that some of the soldiers would be very, very unhappy and would be wanting to get other drink powders and put them in their pocket and maybe save